until I see the little message saying so. Okay, there it is. Okay, so it
Are you
is
fine letting
one.
people in? Do you want me to let people in?
Sure. I think everyone's been let in.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep.
It is 1:01 p.m. on August 4th, 2025. This is a meeting of the Land Use Review Board. I'm sorry if you can hear power tools behind me. Hopefully it won't interfere with the meeting. So I am Janet Hurley, the chair. I will ask board members to introduce themselves as I see them on screen. Brooke.
Brooke Tingledine, board member present.
Kirsten.
Kirsten Sultan, board member present.
And Sarah.
Sarah Had, board member present.
And Alex Weinhagen is off camping, so he will not be present today. First on the agenda is any changes to the agenda.
So
Do
I
we
would
have?
state that we do not need items F and G because we tackled those last Thursday.
Great.
That was Sarah Had from the connection displayed under my name.
Okay, got it. Yes, thank you for clarifying, Kirsten. Okay, so we will not be discussing Tier 1A or communications guidelines today. Do we have any public present? That it doesn't appear that we do, so I can come back to that should anyone join us from the public. And let's go to operations, budget, and legislative updates. Pete, do you want to start that off?
We'll go check.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get unmuted here.
Sounds like someone might be at the door here, so Sarah's gone for a moment.
Nope.
Oh,
All good?
no one at the door. Yep, all set.
Okay.
Okay, great. Hiring process for district coordinators is ongoing. That's order of business on my plate that we're working through as part of the committee. Lots of applications. Again, thank everyone for the outreach on that. I'm going to make some hard decisions with all the great applicants that we've gotten so far. So appreciate that. The other thing I was going to say was we did do some email communication with our sister agencies to get just to let them know kind of where the various board projects were and encourage them to attend board meetings and review our various web pages with updates on those documents. Nothing else on my list here, so pass it over to anyone else. Rachel?
Maybe before Rachel chimes in, I'll just say that Rachel and I have begun the process of posting, or I shouldn't say, we're preparing to post a job description for the general counsel. And I will keep the board apprised, and I'm assuming that the board will function as the interview committee or the hiring committee on this process at this point, and we'll check in with the board as we proceed. So Rachel, go ahead.
Yeah, any questions about that before I change topics? Okay. I just wanted to follow up and confirm that as a result of your decision, as the board's decisions several meetings ago regarding carry forward, a carry forward plan was submitted to the Agency of Administration and Finance and Management on last Monday, July 28th. I don't think I have any other budget updates to include.
Thanks, Rachel. Okay, I'll just remind us that Pete is going to help us collate any legislative sort of fixes to Act 181 that we're sort of uncovering as we go through our Act 181 charge. But there's certainly some clarifications that would be helpful in terms of the regional plan reviews and probably a couple for Tier 1A, right, Sarah? But in any case, as you may think of things, if you could forward those to Pete so he can start collating them into an Excel file for us to bring to the legislature when the session opens. That would be great. So anything else on operations budget? That's either Kirsten or Sarah, so go ahead.
That was me. So will this compilation that Pete is organizing include the wood products manufacturer action items? Like, is it intended
Yeah.
to capture
Yes.
all of the various board sort of
Yes.
legislative items? Okay.
Yes, and then, as it gets closer, I would think that it would come to the board and the board would discuss what its priorities are. But for now, we just want to collate it all into one place. And yes, so send those along to Pete, Kirsten.
I have
I mean, he
included those
essentially
on
has
my,
them,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
they're in
I've included them on my
Okay.
rough list, but yeah,
Yeah.
feel free to send anything else my way.
Okay. Thanks, Kirsten.
One other quick update under this topic area that I was just thinking about was we continue to work through the updates to the hearing process at the district commission level. So we'll let you all know when things are a little bit more firmed up. One thing that we learned this last week was the Vasara, our state records management folks. We had a good conversation with them. And one thing we learned is that they're working on a template for boards for this very purpose. And I think some of the work that we've already done on that will probably feed into that. But there is a little bit of an overlap there. Like, do we kind of wait for this template to be developed, or do we move forward with ours and then potentially change streams? So we're trying to make that as seamless as possible. It sounds like it's going to be sometime in September we'll have all that worked out and on the same page with Vasara for that. So just wanted to let you all know about that too.
Thank you. Okay, since we have at least one more participant here, Eric, I'm opening it up to an opportunity for public comments on non-agenda items before we go through the rest of the agenda, if you have any. I see you unmuted yourself, Eric, and then you muted yourself again. Do you have any comments at this time? Is Eric maybe having trouble with his audio? Eric, if you can hear me and want to send an email to me, if you have any comments, to explain either what your comment is or whether you're having a technical problem, we can try to help resolve it. For now, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Thank you for putting that up, Kirsten.
Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, sorry.
I'll leave it there for a minute or two.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so studies and reports, process and updates. Brooke, do you want to start with appeals?
Sure. I sent a full summary of the stakeholder process to date, which includes meeting number 7, which was on the environmental justice permit specialist ombuds person or office. And we were scheduled to have an 8th session. We put it off because folks were on vacation, but I've heard back from a couple of the stakeholders who made a very good suggestion that instead of delving back into the debate about court versus board models, which has received an awful lot of airtime, that we should move forward and comprise the models that we are contemplating, and at that point be able to receive more specified feedback. So I communicated with our stakeholders, just sent them an email recently, indicated that in the coming weeks I was going to be working with staff to determine when we would reconvene. So
Okay.
at this stage, I really want to start using the information that we have to make some choices about, or create some choices that we as a board can discuss to further guide then what we will go back with the stakeholders with, if that sounds acceptable.
So it sounds like you're envisioning that you and the board will develop some models for the stakeholders to respond to in terms of what a board model would look like, what could look like, and what an e-court model would look like that would address some of the issues that we were charged with exploring. Okay. You're nodding. Yes.
Yes, perfect.
It sounds like a good idea to me. I think that will probably be the most productive way forward at this point.
Great.
Any questions from other board members for Brooke? Kirsten?
So this is, yeah, Kirsten. Yeah, that sounds like a good path forward, Brooke. It's not a question, but just concurring.
Great, thanks.
And do you have anything else, Brooke, that you wanted to just report on today?
Nope, I'm
Okay.
actually starting to populate some of the sections of the report outline, the history and the process, that kind of thing. And at the
Okay.
same time, creating these models that we can try to figure out how to flesh out.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sarah, do you want to discuss where you are with Tier 1A, and then maybe you and Kirsten want to talk about some of the joint work that you've been talking about with each other?
Sure. This is Sarah, and with the Tier 1A, I got some great feedback from the board on Thursday. And now I think it's a matter of trying to figure out scheduling. And we have to get something stood up for the first of the year and backwards working from that and sort of juggling. And so I'll be reaching out now and consulting with our staff in terms of where things can fit in. I have my own prioritized idea of how to get things done within the time frame in my head, but I need to validate that with our staff before I announce that, and I will get that out hopefully by the end of the week. I think I can talk about a little bit of what Kirsten and I talked about this morning, and feel free to jump in, Kirsten.
Yeah.
On some of the other components that we're working on with the road rule, I think we had a really good discussion of it's effective July 1st of 2026. What do we need to do between now and then? The statute allows for rules. We're thinking that guidance perhaps would be a little bit more flexible, and looking to try and stand up guidance well in anticipation of that, hopefully by the end of February. And although there's a prescriptive process for having stakeholders for developing rules around the road rule, with developing guidance that allows us to be a little bit more flexible. And we might look to solicit some of our existing stakeholder groups. We definitely want to solicit different district coordinators for their guidance. We're thinking that illustrations would be a good way of going. And so I think just to give a little bit more in terms of what we were looking at for timeline was if we have a draft guidance for the road rule by the first of the year, that we can have a public comment period for a couple weeks thereafter, and then still could finalize something for the end of February before spring construction, if that's, do you
Yeah.
want to add in?
Well, yeah, so, just to add a little more specificity, we talked about a likelihood of having more than one draft version and working through one of the existing established stakeholder groups to, open up the conversation and allow an opportunity for input, but, working in-house with the very first draft to give to those people for input, just so they have something to respond to. We're mindful of just the risk of stakeholder fatigue, and also we're envisioning that the existing stakeholder groups, as they're currently comprised, would need to be supplemented. Like there's probably other people or entities beyond those currently available groups that we would send a first draft to for input early in the process, and have it be sort of evolve. We're hopeful to have something available well in advance of July 1st, because it helps, the more time that people have to have the benefit of any supplemental written guidance to help inform their planning and just understanding of the the regulatory framework we think will be helpful for everyone. So that's why we were envisioning, January 1 to have a draft out for a 2-week public comment period. And then finalize something thereafter. And of course, the board working alongside this process, similar to the other board study work that's been underway.
I think
Yeah, I
we
think that's-
also,
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Sarah, go ahead.
I was going to switch gears onto something besides road rule, but go ahead.
Oh, so I think that's a great idea, and I think Pete and maybe Aaron can be part of a sort of public push, pushing that information out there for the public in general, and not just stakeholders as we've been working with, but the road rule is going to apply across the state, and a lot of individuals will be affected and will be, potential stakeholders in that new jurisdictional framework. Brooke.
Yeah, I just want to echo, I appreciate the consideration of stakeholder fatigue. The fact that we've had so many of these studies at the same time. I know folks have been so generous with their time, and we really appreciate that. But it might also benefit us to broaden that group a little bit, to not be reliant on the same folks who, obviously people have similar opinions on different issues, but and if there's any need for other names, when I was faced with the listing in the statute on the appeals study, we tried to keep it a number that was doable and didn't get too large. So I do have names of other folks who were not selected, maybe because of geography or what have you. So if there's any desire to broaden that group, let me know, and you can look on the stakeholder Excel spreadsheet, and there's the second page of the original group, which was for the predecessor study for Act 181.
Thank you, Brooke. Is that Sarah or Kirsten with the hand up?
It's me, Kirsten. So, I was just going to add that I anticipate that there will be quite a bit of interest in this topic. And Sarah and I spent some time this morning drilling down into some of the details and reading this through the statute sort of line by line and word for word carefully. and asking just kind of questions about how one might interpret this or that. And I think that we're definitely seeing that it will be helpful to have some guidance clarifying some of the areas that hopefully will benefit from that.
And you're thinking guidance rather than rule at this point, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. A little more flexible, and at least
Yep.
as we initiate the process, it's a little more flexible to go with guidance. And as we learn from it, maybe it makes sense to think about putting it in that other bucket of rules further down the road. No pun intended. And maybe this hand is Sarah.
It's me again.
Oh, it's you again, Kirsten.
So I was just going to elaborate a little bit with respect to what's meant by illustrations. So anyone familiar with the lot counting guidance would have seen the helpful illustrations of different lot layouts, configurations, and exactly how the lot counting works. And I think we're envisioning something a little bit similar, just illustrations of different road driveway configurations and maybe even ownership information, but just kind of like a user-friendly illustrative guide.
Yeah, that's
It
great.
would
And I
be part
wanted
of
to
it, is what we're
touch on
conceptually
that
envisioning.
too, Kirsten, in terms of, where we can get the expertise to do such illustrative work or illustration work, and whether that's something that we should be considering as we look at our budget for the next year. Our budget for this year is already in place. Is there a place in our budget that we have that we could use to fund that kind of work? And maybe that's a question for Rachel. And if we envision, further work in that arena, to make sure that we include it in our budget going forward. I think we are in the next several years going to be doing much more in terms of public outreach and communications, and it may be something that we want to have in our budget on an ongoing basis. That is, professional quality sort of
Graphics.
marketing material, so to speak.
So maybe that's something Sarah and I could follow up on and get back to the board about,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more background, talk to Rachel and Pete. Our own in-house lot counting guidance, I think we developed, we sort of did those schematics ourselves.
Using
certainly-
what kind of software did we use? And how long ago was that?
I think the last update, I'm not remembering, I apologize, maybe like in recent history, in the last few years. Pete?
Okay.
Yeah, just I'll add in there. So lot counting guidance is actually under revision now, currently, but it's just simple tools, shape tools within Microsoft Word. So
Okay.
nothing fancy. I mean, you're just looking at one box versus two boxes and color coding them differently, whatnot. So very, very simple way to do it. So something
Imagine
to
it
think about
might
if
not
that
be as
works.
simple for
Yeah.
the road rule, because we're not talking just lots. We're talking about
Lines.
configurations of roads
Yeah.
through lots, and and existing land cover considerations, and perhaps topography too. So might be more involved. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
there's
agree, it might
probably
be-
some
Okay.
more advanced ways to do that, especially
Illustrate
as
it.
you say with the road rule. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be great, Kirsten, if you and Sarah can talk with Pete and Rachel a little more and come back with an update on that.
Will do.
Can I
So,
move on to something else?
Yeah, that's what did you two talk about the tier 2 study tasks today?
We did to some extent. So this is Sarah. Last week, we were posed the question about asking for an extension. And I believe that we're fine asking for the same extension that Alex asked for to the end of September 2026. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, great. So that would be from February until September. Yes, similar to the Tier 3 extension. Okay, thank you.
And I think lastly, just to change gears again,
Mhm.
Kirsten and I had also been given the 1 in 10 acre towns to discuss, and we'd like to bring that back just full circle to button that up. Maybe next week we'll figure that out in an agenda setting, but I think we also were able to pin that down
Yep.
today.
Okay, great. Yeah, hopefully on Wednesday we can schedule that for Monday next week.
Very good.
Great.
Okay, thanks. I don't have any new work to report on my end. We have finalized a set of guidelines for Regional Planning Commission applications. Well, it's not quite finalized. We are going to be working on a formatting issue and looking to finalize the language around digital map submission. But other than that, we have a draft guidelines. I will share it out to stakeholders in the sense that they are the VAPTA and RPCs, the agency partners, as well as other interested parties like VNRC. And we, in the interim, will continue developing the comment form, the objector form, an application form, and some inward-facing instructions for staff and outward-facing instructions as well for applicants. So that's where we are there. I think that's all I have too. So if there are any questions about any of the work that we are currently undertaking from anybody, now would be a great time to ask. The only questions I would ask you to hold off on are Tier 3 questions and 8C questions, since Alex is not with us today. Okay, Kirsten and/or Sarah.
It's Kirsten. I'm just looking, I'm just kind of interested to know how is it going with being ready to receive the first expected 60-day, regional plan submission? Is it looking
So
like it's doable within the remaining available time? And
yes, yeah, staff and Sarah and I are meeting regularly, at least once a week to, move forward on these things. Last week we focused on the application form, and I think that's pretty close. And then the comment form, we need to finish up our work on that, and as we meet, we go over the timeline and we sort of look at it and make sure that, we can get where we need to get. So, feeling a little bit of pressure, but
yeah,
I think we'll make it. And
Great.
the other thing to consider is that we're going to see the first application in late September. It's going to be a pre-application. So, and it's going to be 2-month process, that pre-application process. So it would be near, almost January probably before we got the final application for that first regional plan. And then we have time to set a hearing and then hold a hearing and then I think we have 45 days to hold a hearing. But once we've held that hearing and closed it, we have to make a decision within 15 days. So we really want that pre-application process to inform the final determination on the plan, because we will have very little time to put that together once a hearing is held. In any case, what I'm saying is that for a few months, we'll be looking at just the pre-application, so we can maybe put off some of those other deliverables that we need for the final phase. I don't know if that helps, Kirsten, answer your
Oh, yeah,
question.
no, I was
but
just kind of generally benchmarking, kind of how's it going with the time frame. At some point, we'll have to figure out who, the 2 lead board members, also staff, who, what's that team, that kind of thing. So people kind of can be ready, allocate some time on their calendars.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So, yeah, we want for the pre-application for a plan review committee, we'd like a couple of board members to be, participating for each plan review. There's only 5 of us. There's 11 regional planning commissions coming at us. So we're going to have to, serve on a committee more than once, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
And in the final phase, every single one of us, every one of the 5 of us will have to read that regional plan, from page 1 to page 200 or whatever, and everything in between. So, yeah, it's going to be a load for us to take on. And we do have about a dozen staffers who have volunteered to participate in those plan review committees to help us get these plans reviewed according to the statutory standards that we need to review them against. So I think that'll be helpful, maybe even fun. So, yeah, any further questions for any of us on the work that we're doing as a board? Okey doke. Then, wow, since we finished Tier 1A for now and we finished communication guidelines for now, we are now at item H, discussion and possible action on appeals and enforcement. Do I have a motion to go into executive session for that?
I'll wing it.
Brooke.
I don't have the script, but I move that the board enter into executive session for the purposes of discussing pending and probable litigation cases, the premature, and make the finding that the premature public knowledge of which would prejudice the board. So we need to enter executive session.
Okay, sounds good enough. I think it works. Do we have a
This is
second?
Sarah, and I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That was 4 ayes. That is all board members present. So that is a unanimous decision to enter into executive session. So the board will go into executive session and we will return to this session after that, reporting out after that. And then the last item on our agenda is adjournment. So you are welcome to wait it out till we come back, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
Are you sure?
You're muted.
Yeah, we're still recording. We're waiting for Sarah and Kirsten to come back downstairs to the main room. Here they are. Thank you. And we are still recording, so if anyone has we have nothing to report from our executive session today. Sarah, do you have an emotion?
I
Do you have an
move that
emotion to
we
share with
adjourn.
us?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay,
I'll
thank you.
second.
Okay, thank you, Kirsten. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.